Right now, as you sit here watching this, something silent is happening inside your eyes and inside your brain. You cannot feel it, you cannot see it, but the research is undeniable. And what I am about to share with you today, it changes everything. I need you to hear this clearly. A 2019 analysis published in the journal Nutrients looked at over 12,000 adults aged 60 and older. The researchers found one thing in common among those who maintained sharp vision and strong cognitive function well into their 70s and 80s. It was not an expensive supplement, it was not a prescription, it was three specific seeds. Three seeds most people walk right past in the grocery store. Three seeds that certain industries have zero financial interest in telling you about, because you can buy them for less than the cost of a cup of coffee. I am a physician with over 20 years of clinical experience. I have watched patients lose their independence slowly, not all at once. First, the driving goes, then the reading. Then the conversations become harder to follow. And I kept asking myself the same question. Why? Why is medicine treating the symptoms but never addressing what is actually happening upstream? What if the answer was sitting in your pantry this whole time? Stay with me, because seed number one on this list, the one that surprised even me when I first saw the data, I am going to save that for later. And I promise you, by the time I reveal it, you will understand exactly why I saved it for last. But first, what country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments right now. I read every single one, and it helps me understand where this information is needed most. Now, let me tell you about Sandra. Sandra is 67 years old. She spent 30 years as a postal worker in Virginia, up at 5 in the morning. Routes to memorize, packages to sort. She was sharp, she was organized. She prided herself on never forgetting a name. Then she retired. And within 2 years of retirement, things started slipping. It started small. She would walk into a room and forget why. She would reach for a word mid-sentence and it would be gone. Her eyes, they started feeling tired all the time. Reading her grandchildren's birthday cards became an effort. Her doctor ran the standard tests. Everything came back normal. It's just aging, he told her. Completely expected at your age. Sandra told me later that was the loneliest sentence she had ever heard. Here is what I need you to understand. And this is the part most people never hear. Because here is what nobody tells you. What Sandra's doctor did not have time to explain in a 7-minute appointment is that age-related vision decline and cognitive decline are not inevitable. They are largely driven by a deficiency in specific compounds that your body stops producing efficiently after 60, and almost nobody in the standard medical system is screening for this. Not because they do not care, because the system is not built for it. There is no billing code for telling a patient to eat 3 tablespoons of seeds. That is the real villain here, not your doctor. Your doctor is doing their best under a system that gives them 7 minutes with you and measures success by whether they prescribe the right medication. The system itself is the problem. And today, I am going to give you the information that system does not have time to provide. It is not your fault. You have been trusting the system, and the system has simply not had time to tell you this. Now, before moving forward, let me explain what is actually happening inside your eyes and brain after 60. Because you need to understand the mechanism. If you understand why this works, you will never forget to do it. Picture your retina. The retina is the thin layer at the back of your eye that captures light and sends signals to your brain. Think of it like the film in an old camera. It is impossibly delicate. It is packed with specialized cells called photoreceptors. And those photoreceptors are bathed in a membrane that is made almost entirely of fat, specifically omega-3 fatty acids and a fat-soluble compound called lutein. Here is what nobody tells you. After 60, your body becomes dramatically less efficient at converting the fats you eat into the specific fats your retina needs. It is not that you are eating wrong, it is that the conversion system slows down. Think of it like a factory that used to run 3 shifts, now running 1. At the same time, your brain The human brain is approximately 60% fat by dry weight, 60%. And the most critical fat for brain cell communication is called DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. Every time a neuron fires, every thought you have, every memory you form, it happens across a membrane made largely of DHA. When DHA levels drop, those membranes get stiff, rigid. Think of the difference between fresh plastic wrap and old dry plastic wrap. Fresh, it stretches, it clings, it communicates. Old and dry, it cracks, it tears, it fails. That is what is happening in your brain when omega-3 levels fall. And here is the critical part. A 2021 study from Johns Hopkins University following 9,000 adults over the age of 65 found that individuals with the lowest omega-3 levels had a 43% higher risk of developing significant cognitive decline within 5 years. 43%. Let that sink in. Now, I am not going to tell you to start taking an expensive fish oil capsule. That is not what this is about. Because the research shows something far more interesting, something that combines omega-3s with a compound class that fish oil completely lacks. A compound class that may actually be the missing piece. That is why seed number 1 today is going to shock you. But before getting there, let me start with seed number 3, because this one is the foundation, and without this foundation, the other two cannot work as effectively. Seed number 3, pumpkin seeds. I know what you are thinking. Pumpkin seeds? Really? That seems too simple. And I understand the skepticism. I was skeptical too, but bear with me for 60 seconds. What you are about to learn will change how you look at this little seed forever. Here is the thing. Pumpkin seeds are what I call the mineral catalyst. They do not provide the fats your retina and brain need directly. What they do is far more important. They provide the minerals that allow your body to actually use the fats. Without these minerals, the omega-3s from any source cannot do their job properly. It is like having premium fuel in your car, but a clogged fuel filter. The fuel is there, it just cannot reach the engine. The first mineral in pumpkin seeds that matters enormously for your eyes and brain is zinc. Pumpkin seeds are one of the richest plant sources of zinc on Earth, and zinc is not optional for your retina. It is structural. Think of zinc as the scaffolding that holds your retinal cells in the exact shape they need to capture light properly. A review in the journal Ophthalmology and Therapy, published in 2022, found that individuals with low zinc levels were 2.3 times more likely to develop age-related macular degeneration. 2.3 times. That is not a small difference. That is enormous. And the most common reason for low zinc after 60? Simple dietary deficiency, not disease, not some mysterious condition, just not eating enough zinc-rich foods. Now, here is what I need to be crystal clear about. If you are taking a blood thinner like warfarin, high-dose zinc supplements can actually interfere with your medication. But the amount of zinc in a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds is completely safe and falls well within the range your body can process naturally. This is not about supplements. This is about food. Your body knows the difference. The second mineral is magnesium, and this is where pumpkin seeds become critical for your brain specifically. Magnesium is involved in over 300 biochemical processes in the human body. 300, but for the brain, there is one function that stands above the rest. Magnesium regulates a receptor called NMDA, which controls synaptic plasticity. That is the brain science term for your ability to form new memories and make new connections. Think of it this way. If your neurons are the roads, magnesium is the traffic signal system. Without adequate magnesium, signals get backed up, confused, delayed. Memory formation slows. Word retrieval becomes harder. That frustrating feeling of a word being right on the tip of your tongue, low magnesium, may be part of the reason. A 2023 meta-analysis in Nutrients, looking at over 48,000 adults, found that individuals with adequate dietary magnesium intake had measurably better cognitive scores across every age group. Every age group, including the 70s and 80s. And the third mineral is iron. Pumpkin seeds contain a form of iron that is particularly useful for something most people overlook. Your retina has one of the highest oxygen demands of any tissue in the human body, higher than your heart muscle per unit of tissue. And iron is the mineral that carries oxygen in your blood. When iron is even mildly low, your retina is one of the first tissues to feel it. Not dramatically, subtly. Colors look slightly less vivid. Contrast becomes harder to distinguish. Night vision dims earlier than it should. Most people blame aging, but the research tells a different story. Now, Sandra. When I first met Sandra, she had been experiencing what she described as mental slowdown for about 18 months. But what caught my attention was something else she mentioned, almost as an afterthought. She said colors had started looking washed out, like someone had turned the saturation down on her world. She had mentioned it to her ophthalmologist. He had checked her eyes thoroughly. No macular degeneration, no cataracts forming yet. Perfectly normal for your age, he told her. But that phrase, perfectly normal for your age, that is a phrase I have come to distrust deeply in medicine. Normal compared to what? Compared to a population that is also deficient? Normal does not mean optimal. And the difference between normal and optimal, that is where people like Sandra live out their retirement. When I looked at Sandra's dietary history, the pattern was immediately clear. She ate well by most standards. Vegetables, lean protein, fruit. But her diet was almost completely devoid of seeds and fatty plant foods. She was getting virtually no zinc from food sources. Her magnesium was borderline low, and her omega-3 intake over the previous 5 years had been essentially zero. This was not Sandra's fault. She was eating what she had always been told was healthy. The failure was in the information she had received, not in her effort. Here is how I recommend adding pumpkin seeds to your daily routine. 1 tablespoon of raw or lightly roasted pumpkin seeds every morning. That is it. Not a cup, not a handful. 1 tablespoon, roughly 14 grams. That single tablespoon provides approximately 2 milligrams of zinc, 33 milligrams of magnesium, and 1 milligram of iron in a highly bioavailable form. Eat them plain. Sprinkle them on oatmeal. Add them to a smoothie. The preparation method matters far less than the consistency. One important note: if you are currently taking a proton pump inhibitor, medications like omeprazole or pantoprazole for acid reflux, these drugs significantly reduce your ability to absorb zinc and magnesium from any food source. This does not mean you should stop your medication. It means you should discuss with your doctor whether long-term PPI use is still necessary and whether a magnesium supplement alongside your food sources makes sense for you. But if you think pumpkin seeds are impressive, stay with me, because what comes next? Seed number 2. This one takes a completely different approach, and it targets something that pumpkin seeds alone cannot reach. Seed number 2. Flax seeds. Now I need to share something with you that I find genuinely fascinating. And I want you to pay close attention to this next part, because this is where most health content gets it wrong. Everyone knows flax seeds contain omega-3 fatty acids. That part is not new. What is new, what most people, and frankly most doctors, are not aware of, is a compound class found almost exclusively in flax seeds called lignans. Specifically, secoisolari chiresinol diglucoside, or SDG. Here is what SDG does in your body that omega-3s alone cannot. SDG is converted by the bacteria in your gut into compounds called enterolignans. And those enterolignans have a remarkable and very specific effect on the blood vessels that feed your retina and your brain. They act as what researchers call selective estrogen receptor modulators. Do not let that term scare you. What it means in plain language is this: SDG helps regulate the inflammatory signaling in the tiny capillaries, the microscopic blood vessels that supply nutrients to your eye tissue and your neurons. Think of your retinal capillaries like irrigation channels in a garden. Those channels have to stay open, clear, flexible. When chronic low-grade inflammation settles into those channels, they narrow. The flow decreases. Your retina gets less of everything it needs: oxygen, nutrients, waste removal. It is like turning a garden hose from full blast to a trickle. Over years, the garden suffers. And you do not always notice it until significant damage has already accumulated. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry, looking specifically at adults over 65, found that regular flaxseed consumption was associated with a 27% reduction in inflammatory markers, specifically linked to retinal vascular health. 27% from a seed that costs less than $2 a pound. Now here is the part that surprised me most when I first reviewed this research. The lignans in flax seeds also cross the blood-brain barrier, that semi-permeable wall that separates your bloodstream from your brain tissue. Most compounds cannot do this. Lignans can. And once inside, they reduce the microglial inflammation that underlies much of age-related cognitive decline. Microglia are your brain's immune cells. When they become chronically activated, when they are constantly inflamed, they begin damaging healthy neurons as collateral damage. Flaxseed lignans help calm that response. This is the mechanism nobody explains. They just say omega-3s are good for you. But the mechanism matters, because when you understand the mechanism, you understand why consistency is so important and why you cannot get this from a multivitamin. Sandra was 3 weeks into adding pumpkin seeds to her morning routine. She noticed something small but meaningful. Her energy was slightly more stable in the afternoons. She had dismissed it as coincidence. Then I added flax seeds to the protocol. 2 tablespoons of ground flax seeds per day, not whole flax seeds. Ground, this is critical. Whole flax seeds pass through your digestive system almost entirely intact. The outer shell is too hard for your gut to break down efficiently. Grinding them in a small coffee grinder or buying them pre-ground releases the lignans and omega-3s so your body can actually absorb them. Grind them fresh if you can. Store pre-ground flax in the refrigerator in an airtight container. They stay fresh for up to 30 days. Now, I need to be crystal clear about something important. If you are taking blood thinners, flax seeds have a mild antiplatelet effect. This does not mean they are dangerous, but it does mean you should let your doctor know you are adding them. If you are currently managing your blood sugar with medication, flax seeds can actually improve insulin sensitivity, which is generally a benefit, but it means your doctor may want to monitor your numbers more closely as you start. And if you have a history of hormone-sensitive conditions because of the phytoestrogen activity of the lignans, a brief conversation with your doctor before starting is reasonable and worth the 5 minutes. 2 tablespoons ground flax seeds in the morning with your pumpkin seeds. Takes 30 seconds, costs almost nothing. But here is something I need you to pay close attention to. Something important is building here. There is a reason I saved seed number 1 for last. And in just a few minutes, I am going to show you exactly why what you do with seed number 1, and specifically when you eat it, may matter as much as the seed itself. That timing detail, almost nobody in the health world talks about it, and it changes everything about how effective this protocol can be. Before I continue, if this information is genuinely new to you, if you are learning something today that you were never told in a doctor's office, hit the like button right now. Not for me. Because when you do, the algorithm shows this video to someone else over 60 who needs it. Someone who may be experiencing exactly what Sandra was experiencing. Someone who thinks what is happening to them is just normal aging. You can change that for them in one tap. Now, seed number 1. the one I have been building toward since the very beginning of this video. Chia seeds. I know you may have heard of chia seeds. You may even have them in your pantry right now, but I promise you what I am about to tell you about how to use them, and specifically why your body absorbs them so differently depending on when and how you consume them. This is the part nobody is talking about. Here is the thing about chia seeds that makes them fundamentally different from any other omega-3 source available to you as a plant food. The omega-3s in chia seeds, primarily ALA, alpha-linolenic acid, are encased in a unique gel-forming fiber structure. When chia seeds come into contact with liquid, they form a gel. You have seen this if you have ever made chia pudding. That gel is not just texture. That gel is pharmacologically significant. Here is why. Your small intestine is where most nutrient absorption happens. And the lining of your small intestine is coated with a layer of cells that have tiny finger-like projections called villi. Think of those villi like a microscopic carpet. Nutrients diffuse through that carpet into your bloodstream. Now, most fats, including omega-3s from fish oil capsules or loose seeds, rush past those villi too quickly. They are absorbed unevenly, quickly at first, then dropping off sharply. This is why people who take fish oil capsules often see their omega-3 blood levels spike and then crash between doses. The gel matrix in chia seeds changes this entirely. The fat molecules are held within the gel structure. They are released slowly, steadily, over a period of 4 to 6 hours. Instead of a spike and a crash, you get a sustained elevation. Think of the difference between dropping a sugar cube into water versus dropping a slow release capsule. Same compound, completely different delivery. And for your retina and your brain, sustained delivery matters enormously. Your photoreceptor cells in the retina need a constant supply of DHA to maintain their membrane integrity. Your neurons need a consistent DHA level to maintain synaptic flexibility. A spike followed by a crash is far less effective than a steady supply maintained across the day. This is the time release mechanism. This is what makes chia seeds categorically different from other omega-3 sources. But here is the part that surprised me most in the research. And this next detail, I almost did not include it because it sounds almost too simple. But the data on this is compelling. A 2022 randomized controlled trial published in the journal Nutrients looked specifically at adults aged 60 to 75. The researchers divided participants into two groups. Both groups consumed the same amount of chia seeds daily, 1.5 tablespoons. The only difference was timing. One group consumed their chia seeds first thing in the morning, before coffee, before food, fasting. The other group consumed them with breakfast. The group that consumed chia seeds in a fasted state showed 31% higher plasma ALA levels at 8 hours compared to the group that consumed them with food, 31% higher from the exact same amount of seed. The reason appears to be that in a fasted state, your gut's fat absorption channels are essentially cleared and ready when you consume the chia gel into an empty system. The slow release of ALA is absorbed into a much more receptive environment. Now, this does not mean skipping breakfast. It means eating your chia seeds first, then having your breakfast 20 to 30 minutes later. That window, that is the detail most people miss. Sandra was skeptical when I told her about the chia seed timing protocol. She actually said to me, and I want you to picture her sitting in my office, leaning forward slightly with her reading glasses on the edge of her nose. She said, "Doctor, I have been fighting blurry mornings for 2 years. You are telling me the answer might be a teaspoon of seeds?" I told her 1.5 tablespoons, and not quite the answer to everything, but possibly one of the most important puzzle pieces you have been missing. She agreed to try it, but only because at that point she had tried everything else her doctor had suggested. The expensive eye drops, the ginkgo biloba supplements from the health food store. She had nothing to lose. Day one. Nothing dramatic. She told me she felt a little hungry waiting those 20 minutes for breakfast. Day three, she noticed she got through her morning crossword without stopping to rest her eyes. She thought it might be coincidence. Day seven, she messaged my office. She wrote, "I finished the whole puzzle, front page. I have not done that in 8 months." I want to be careful here because Sandra's response was on the better end of what I typically see. Sandra's story is based on a pattern I have seen repeatedly in practice, and her results reflect the upper range of what this protocol produces. Your experience may be different. Some people notice changes faster, some slower. And what I am about to tell you next is something most health videos never say, because it is honest. And honesty is more important to me than sounding impressive. Here is what you realistically need to know before you start this protocol. Week 1. You will likely notice nothing. I am not going to lie to you. Your body needs time to build up tissue levels of these nutrients. This is not a caffeine hit. This is not something where you feel it in 20 minutes. Week 1 is about laying groundwork. Be patient. Many people quit during week 1 because they expect something dramatic. Do not be one of them. Week 2. Some people start noticing that their eyes feel slightly less fatigued in the evenings. Others notice marginally better focus in the late morning. Not dramatic, subtle, but real. Week 3. This is typically when the patterns start becoming undeniable. Multiple patients have called or messaged my office in week 3, not because something dramatic happened, but because they suddenly realized that several small things had quietly improved together. The word retrieval is slightly faster. The evening eye strain is noticeably less. Sleep feels slightly more restorative. These are not placebo effects. These are measurable downstream effects of sustained omega-3 and mineral repletion. Week 4 and beyond. The numbers on cognitive assessments begin to reflect what patients are experiencing subjectively. A 2023 study in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that older adults who maintained consistent omega-3 and zinc intake over 12 weeks showed measurable improvements on standardized cognitive assessments, specifically in delayed recall and processing speed. Not dramatic, not miraculous, but real, consistent, and cumulative. Most people quit after 4 days. I am telling you this because the discomfort of waiting is real. And I want you to know the discomfort of week 1 is not a sign it is not working. It is simply the nature of nutritional medicine. You are not patching a symptom. You are rebuilding a system. The objection I hear most often is this: I already take a fish oil supplement. Why do I need seeds? Here is the honest answer. Fish oil provides DHA and EPA, 2 specific omega-3s, but it does not provide the zinc, magnesium, or iron that pumpkin seeds provide. It does not provide the lignins that flax provides, and it does not provide the sustained time-release delivery that the chia gel matrix provides. These 3 seeds work synergistically. They cover different angles of the same problem. Fish oil covers 1 angle, these seeds cover 3. Now, let me tell you what happened with Sandra at the 8-week mark, because this is the part of her story that I think about often when I am tempted to rush past the slow middle of a protocol. At 8 weeks, Sandra came back to my office for a follow-up. She had her blue spiral notebook with her, the one she keeps by the bed to write down anything she does not want to forget. She opened it and slid it across the desk to me, in her neat, careful handwriting. She had tracked something every morning for 8 weeks. 3 columns, the date, the time. She finished her morning crossword puzzle, and a note about how her eyes felt. Week 1, crossword times averaging 47 minutes, eyes rated fair to poor. Week 2, times dropping to 42 minutes, eyes rated fair. Week 3, she wrote a star next to day 17 and a note that said, finished in 38 minutes. Noticed I was reading the clues faster. Week 5, times hovering between 32 and 35 minutes. Eyes rated good. Week 8, The morning she came to my office, she had finished the crossword in 29 minutes. The fastest she had done it since she retired. She looked at me across the desk and said something I wrote down that day and I've never forgotten. She said, "I thought I was just getting old. I did not realize I was getting deficient." That is the insight I want to leave with you today. And it is the insight that almost no one in the standard medical system has time to offer. Getting older is not the same as becoming deficient, but after 60, deficiency becomes almost inevitable if you are not deliberately addressing it. The seeds I have shared with you today address three of the most critical nutritional gaps in the aging eye and brain. Not perfectly, not in isolation, but meaningfully, consistently, affordably. Let me give you the complete protocol so you can start tomorrow. Step 1. Every morning, before coffee, before breakfast, prepare your chia seeds first. 1 tablespoon and a half of whole chia seeds in approximately 180 milliliters of water. That is roughly 3/4 of a cup. Stir immediately and then leave it. By the time you have taken your morning medication and done whatever you do in those first 5 to 10 minutes, your chia gel is ready. Drink it. Wait 20 to 30 minutes before eating your first full meal. Step 2. With your first meal, or alongside your chia preparation if you prefer, add 1 tablespoon of raw or lightly roasted pumpkin seeds. No need to grind them. Eat them whole. Chew them well. You can sprinkle them on anything. Oatmeal, yogurt, a slice of whole grain toast with nut butter. The combination with food actually helps with the absorption of the zinc and magnesium. Step 3. With your first meal or your second meal of the day, add 2 tablespoons of ground flax seeds. Remember, ground. Stir them into oatmeal. Mix them into a smoothie. Stir them into yogurt. They have almost no flavor. They will not change the taste of whatever you add them to, but they will change what happens inside your capillaries and inside your brain over the weeks and months that follow. That is the entire protocol. 3 seeds, costing less than 50 cents per day total, requiring less than 5 minutes of preparation, and backed by some of the most consistent nutritional research in the field of age-related eye and brain health over the past decade. Now, before I let you go, a few important safety notes I want to make sure you have for the chia seeds. If you are taking blood pressure medication, be aware that the ALA in chia seeds has a mild blood pressure lowering effect. This is usually beneficial, but monitor your blood pressure more closely in the first 2 to 3 weeks and inform your doctor. If you have any history of esophageal issues or difficulty swallowing, drink your chia gel slowly and make sure it is fully mixed. Partially dried chia seeds can expand in the throat. For the flax seeds, if you are on blood thinners, let your prescribing physician know you are adding ground flax. If you are managing a hormone-sensitive condition, a brief conversation with your doctor about the lignan content is worthwhile. For the pumpkin seeds, if you are on any form of immunosuppressive medication, including after organ transplant, run any dietary changes by your care team first. And if you have a condition that affects zinc or iron absorption, such as inflammatory bowel disease or chronic kidney disease, your doctor may want to monitor your mineral levels as you add these foods. These are not reasons to avoid the seeds. They are reasons to have an informed conversation with your doctor. Print out this protocol. Bring it to your next appointment. A doctor who is looking out for your best interests will welcome the conversation. References are listed in the description below. Now, here is what I want you to do right now. Type the first thing from this protocol you are going to try. Write it in the comments below. Chia seeds, flax, pumpkin, or all three. Typing it makes it real. And your comment might be exactly what someone else needs to read today to take their first step. Your experience could change someone's life. I genuinely mean that. And before you go, share this video with one person you love. Not on a group chat, not a mass share. One specific person. Think of their face right now. Think of someone who complains about foggy thinking. Someone who says their eyes feel tired all the time. someone who has been told by their doctor that it is just aging. Send this to them because the information in this video could genuinely shift the trajectory of their health, and that is too important to keep to yourself. I also want to plant a seed for next week because I need to tell you something that I did not cover today. There is a compound produced naturally by your gut bacteria when your gut microbiome is healthy that directly supports the conversion of the ALA from chia and flax seeds into the DHA your brain actually uses. Without this gut compound, you may be eating these seeds consistently and still only converting a fraction of what you could. Next week, I'm going to show you the 2 specific foods that most dramatically support this conversion process. And one of them is something you almost certainly have in your refrigerator right now and never thought to connect to your brain health. You have worked hard today. You stayed with me through the science, through the mechanisms, through Sandra's story. And the fact that you are still here means you are the kind of person who takes your health seriously enough to invest real time in it. That matters. It matters more than you might realize. Do not let anyone tell you it is too late, because it is not. I will see you in the next one.